Okay, so in the previous tutorial we have seen how we can create our user interface, and now let's create resource icons that should be appeared in our resource bar. So if you remember, this is our resource bar, and we have three types of resources for now, which is wood, stone, and fruits, right? So these are the three main resources we are having, and later on actually we'll add another resource, which is coin, when we add citizens to our game. But for now we have three types of resources that should be visualized in our resource bar. So first let's create a resource bar item. I'll call it as resource item, and then we can delete this default canvas, and I'll add a size box, and as the size we can make width as to 120 pixels and 50 pixels as the height, and I'll make it is desired. So we will be having this focused area, and then let's add an overlay, also a border. Right, so border is actually act as a background image of this item, right? Something like that. And I'll make it as maybe 0.3 maybe, and then let's add a horizontal box onto this overlay, and then let's add another size box to visualize our resource icon, and it should be having the width of 50. Plus let's add an image onto this size box, and I'll add some padding, maybe like 10 or maybe like 7, something like that. Actually we can tweak these values later on, but for now I hope this one is okay. And then what we can do, then maybe maybe we can add a text component to visualize the stored resource amount values. So I'll add another maybe size box to this horizontal box, and I'll make it fill, and let's add a text component to this size box. So it should visualize some sort of value, something like this. And for the alignment I will use this sort of alignment, and as the font size maybe I'll reduce it value to maybe 18. Okay, and maybe we can add a spacer as well to this horizontal box, and it should be in between this image and value component, and I'll add some vertical space, maybe like 5 pixels, right? So we have some sort of free area over here. It seems quite nice there. Okay, and then let's promote this to a variable. Okay, so it is already a variable, and I'll call this as icon, and also this numeric value should be promoted as a variable, and I'll call it as value. And if you go to the graph now, you may be able to see those variables, and by default those are public variables, right? Otherwise you can call it as instant editable variables. Okay, and now we can assign, or we can use this resource item to construct our resource bar items. So let me go to the resource bar, and at the resource bar let's add the horizontal box onto this overlay, and I'll fill it like this, and let's search for the resource item and add it to here. Okay, now you can see that resource item has been appeared over here, and I'll maybe name this as resource item wood, right? And we need to actually assign some icon as well. So maybe, yeah, I think we already have those icons at our props, RTS game starter kit, purple assets, textures, no, resources, no, UI and icons and resources. So these are the 4 icons that we are going to use. And if you don't have these icons, I have mentioned GitHub repository link under this video at the YouTube description. You can go to that link and download this RTS game starter kit for free, and you can get that to your game, right? So in that package you will be having these icons by default. So let's use this wood icon first at our resource bar, and I think those variables are not visible over here. Yeah, let me quickly check my documentation. Yeah, so actually even this, yeah, let me quickly close these unnecessary tabs. Yeah, so even these two values are public. We can't actually see those stuffs over here. So actually I think we have to create separate variables to handle those stuffs. So I'll name this as maybe, I think at the designer level I'll rename this as UI icon, and this one as UI value, and let's create a variable called icon, which is texture 2D, and let's make it as instant editable, expose on spawn, and as the category I'll assign it to setup category. Likewise we need another variable which is our resource amount, right? Or you can call it as value, and it is an integer type. It should be instant editable, expose on form, and setup category. Okay, now if we go to the our resource bar and compile, yeah, now we can see those variables appear over here. And even if you assign values, actually you may not be able to see any change happen. So let me show you that. See, even if you assign an icon, we can't see any change because we are just assigning this variable at the resource bar, but this variable is not resolving our UI icon, right? That's why it's not appearing. So the fix is quite simple. basically we need to create a function for updating our resource item, right? And here you can use this icon and UI icon, and I'll set brush from texture, and texture is this icon, and it should be having matching sizes. And for the value I will use this UI value and set text, and I'll use this amount, and so it automatically typecasted to text, which is fine. And yeah, so this is how we can update our icon and amount at the UI level, but still you can't see any change, right? Because we haven't called this function anywhere yet. So actually the calling will happen in two stages. First one is event pre-construct, right? So this is just for the visualization at your client, and the second one is construct. So construct means when you spin up your game, when the HUD is initialized, this function or this event will get triggered, right? But at the design time, if you want to see any changes, you have to use this pre-construct, and at the in-game, if you need to do any change, obviously we need to do some changes, so we have to use this pre-construct, right? So altogether we need to use these two functions or at the same time, right? But this event should be called at the in the design time, so I'll use branch, and if we are in the design time, which is true, then I'll update the resource item. But in either case, when we are running our game, we should execute this function as well, right? So this is the logic behind that initialization or updating the value. Now if we compile, save, and go to the resource bar, here you can see that icon, right? And even if you change the values, you can see our UI is getting updated, right? Right. So similarly, let's add two more resource types, and yeah, what are the resource types? Basically, I'll name this as stone, and maybe this one as food, and for the stone, let's use stone icon. Yeah, just 2 seconds. Okay, stone icon, and as the food, let's use this food icon. And this is the actually fourth resource type, and this will be available in the future episodes, but I will add that thing here as well, right? And I'll call this as money, and we can add this coin icon to that, right? Okay, and now we have 4 types of UI components, but in the design time this is fine, but then in the execution time, in order to distinguish these components, it's better to assign some sort of a enumerated type value for these UI components as well, right, based on their resource type. So let's add an enumeration, the data enums. Yeah, actually we have this enumeration type already, and we have these 3 resource types, right? So it doesn't contain money resource over here, but yeah, I'll add that thing over here as well. Alright, and then let's go to the resource item. Let's create a type which has that resource type enumeration. It should be instant editable, export on spawn, and add the setup category. Right? So compile, save, go to the resource bar, compile it again, and here now we can select the type of this resource bar item as well. Right? So this one should be wood, and this should be stone, and this one is food, and finally this one should be money. Let's compile, save, and play the game. Okay, now you can see the resource bar is fully responsive, plus those values are appearing, or resource bar items are appearing over here, right? But those values are not updating yet because we haven't calling that update resource item function yet. We only creating, or we only invoking that function at the initialization level or construction level, and that's why they have these default values and default icons, right? But in the next tutorial, actually we'll try to implement some event dispatchers to update these user interface items, right? Okay, so this is how we add resource items to our resource bar, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Thank you.